Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to The Editor and the Alien. I am the night editor, your co-host, Kat Rocha, and with me, as always, is...
We're late. Shit, we're about 15 minutes late.
Yeah, the movie ran late. Sorry, everyone. We knew that The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was a long film. We started it at 3 p.m. our time, and yeah, it ran a little long, so I do apologize.
It was the extended cut. Actually, kind of my take is, I think I would have preferred the cinematic.
Okay, yeah, there were scenes that went on a little long.
Yeah, it just seemed to have for such a thin story, there was a lot of unjustified filler, and it's like, I know that we've seen other Italian cuts, like, one of my favorite films, Phenomena by Argento, which we need to review.
Yes, we do.
I love that film. And I was shocked when we watched the European cut. It was like, that's just a lot of filler and long shots and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't help.
No.
And I'm kind of wondering if that's what the case is here, since this is the uncut version.
Well, I had remembered certain scenes either not going on as long or not being there at all when we first watched this film about 5-6 years ago.
Something like that.
No, wait, longer than that. It was, we were dating. It was in 2003.
Holy crap, that long?
Yeah. I remember it because it was one of those films that we started while we were dating and we never got back to it because there was a fire.
Yeah.
So I guess our first review is watch the theatrical cut. Don't watch the extended cut. It's not necessary.
Well, some of the scenes that they restored for this too, it wasn't just the European cut. There were restored scenes.
Yeah.
Did we even say what the hell we're reviewing?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes. Clint Eastwood, Lee Van Cleef. You can't get much better than that,
So we chose this film because, well, Ennio Morricone died.
Yeah.
And this is undoubtedly the Morricone soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there was one he is recognized for that really changed how music was looked at in film, this is it.
Well, not only that, but this soundtrack is the quintessential soundtrack to Westerns in general. Anytime anybody thinks of a Western film, they think of this soundtrack.
They do now.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, it was like just a complete departure from what was expected. It was abstract. It was weird. It was, I guess some people called it avant-garde.
Yeah. Well, especially with the cartoon at the beginning, with the opening credits.
Well, no, the music specifically. But for that reason, it was a bit of a coup to have this sort of soundtrack in what was, at the time, there was a very established sound to a Western.
True.
And this changed everything.
Guitars, possibly a harmonica, but, definitely that Will Rogers...
Western music and 1950s era or 40s era strings.
Yeah.
Was typically what you'd expect. Slide guitar.
Yeah.
And this fucking bizarre mixed with utterly beautiful.
Yes, very much so.
So that alone, I mean, you might even say the music's kind of operatic at times.
It's very operatic, and even though the theme itself never truly changes, depending on the mood, it definitely conveys certain feelings, like at the climax where you have
that song's the Passion for Gold.
Passion for Gold,
that
the soundtrack,
probably his best work ever.
But seeing it in context to the scene, I mean, I got the feeling before, but definitely in context with the scene, it evokes the a bullfight. That moment right before the fight commences.
The what is it? The trumpets, or the Spanish guitar,
and the clarinet.
Yeah, just amazing. But I would say,
I think it's a clarinet.
Without the music, this film would not. I don't know. This is a good film. This is a very good film. I don't know if it would have had the impact.
I agree, actually. I mean, Eastwood, of course, had a phenomenal performance. To me, Lee Van Cleef always stole a scene, no matter what scene he was in.
There was not enough Lee Van Cleef.
Not enough. No, we needed more Angel Eyes. God damn it! Yeah.
We got Boba Fett blue balls with him. There was just not enough of him.
There wasn't, and as much as that climax was passable, I think it should have gone on longer. It should have been more intense. Instead, you got the 2 servings of tension spread out between 5 people.
You say that now, but keep in mind, at the time, that had never been done.
That's very true.
It wasn't. This film's one of those films that's so influential that just about every scene in it that's amazing, you've seen a bunch of people copy before.
No, but specifically as far as Lee Van Cleef goes, I mean, he was taken out way too quickly.
Oh, for him just being such a badass?
Yeah, I mean, you had all these other scenes that he was built up, for this final showdown with Angel Eyes. He was down too quick. I was actually expecting him to come back.
Oh, you mean like Jason or the Terminator?
Yeah, like Jason or the Terminator, just...
Hellcop?
I was actually... I'm not kidding. I was expecting one final showdown because Blondie actually shoots his gun into the grave with him.
Yeah.
Basically giving him back his weapon. I was expecting him to come back, and he didn't. So, anyway.
But you said the music had a consistency. Actually, one thing that I noticed was the really bizarro shit, just the weird chanting and twangy guitars.
And the wah, wah.
Yeah. That more followed Tuco.
Yes, you're right.
Whereas every time we saw Angel Eyes, the music was beautiful.
Yeah.
And you notice, except for the end, he's spotless. Through the whole thing, he is just clean. Everyone else is dirty and sweaty and...
But it wasn't till the end that he actually, has to get dirt on his hands, as it were. Also, Blondie's sound is the whistle.
And he even whistles at people before he shoots them.
Yeah. So the fact that each of the 3 main characters had their own sound or their own, I wouldn't even say instrument. It really is their own sound.
So since we're still focusing on the music, you were saying, it has established a sound for the Western, right?
Yeah, it did.
My father told me a story about him and a friend in college went to see it, and it was like a double feature, and they watched the first film, I don't know what it is, and they're enjoying it, and then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly starts, and it opens with that really weird looking guy with his face right up in the camera, and wow, and he just kind of looks over his friend like, what the fuck are we watching?
He's probably one of the ugliest sons of bitches you've ever seen.
Well, just that and the music's like, what the hell is this? But he said that's what he said his reaction was to the film.
Well, if you didn't know what you were going to be watching, that would be my reaction too.
But speaking of the opening, we get that nice 3-scene setup for each character. And it pretty much immediately establishes the right relationships, who they are. But did you notice that another thing that kind of departs from a lot of Westerns prior to that, like in the 40s and 50s, just how dirty, ugly. I mean, you felt like you were in a harsh environment while watching this film.
No, I really appreciated how dirty everyone was, filthy. both Blondie and Tuco.
Yeah.
How both of them got their asses beat multiple times.
Yeah.
And also, since this is Civil War time, though it's a fictionalized fantasy version of it, I really appreciated that there were young boys who were on the front lines. I mean, boys who were no older than 14.
Which is accurate.
No, but how many times do we see that?
Yeah.
And the fact that they got so many, it really did show how hard a time this was.
Even though, this is a fictional fantasy version of the West. I mean, everybody's got pretty good teeth.
That is true.
There was not much major fighting in Texas.
No.
Certainly nothing on the scale of what was shown in the film.
No, not at all.
I
mean, again, I swear
that was a different landscape that they were fighting in.
I swear one scene was actually hearkening to Escaping from Atlanta from Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
I mean, right down to the rows of houses and the way that they looked and the cannon shells. That was straight out of Gone with the Wind.
Okay, wait, before we get into that, one more thing also that I think is a kind of a departure that really shows how different and revolutionary this film was for a Western.
Yes.
Is that the entire introductory scene with Tuco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody says anything.
No, nobody.
It's music and sound effects, and it's primarily the wind and boots.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you hear.
Very true.
And then the guitar comes in when it, the ugly. And then we get Angel Eyes. And there's that long, uncomfortable scene where he's just sitting across from the guy in his house, and still nothing said.
I don't think anything is said for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Not counting the opening credits.
Yeah, and it's all music and sound effects carrying it, and just the awkwardness of the silence between those two.
Well, not only that, but just really good acting. I mean,
the actors across the board. I mean, there's one complaint we have about the actors. One complaint. And that is that Tuco just does not look Mexican.
No, he does not.
He was great. That actor was absolutely great, but he definitely was not a Mexican.
He was not a Mexican. In fact, his New York accent kept slipping in there.
Fada, can you come over here for...
It's like, no.
Dude, you sound like you're from the Bronx.
Why'd they have you say Fada? Why not Padre?
Yeah, actually, probably should have said Padre.
Although I think they would have thought Padre Pedro would have sounded kind of weird.
Yeah. But, they're all archetypes, especially now.
Oh, yeah. Well, this made a lot of the archetypes.
The Clint Eastwood Man with No Name. This is a truly American archetype, unique to our nation. They say Americans don't have culture. Fuck you. We got Clint Eastwood.
Yes. Clint Eastwood is our culture.
And sure, this was an Italian film, but that was an American actor in an American genre, the Western.
Exactly.
And he made that character.
Oh, God, yes. Very much so. Right down to, the ambiguous morals. I mean, I know
we're going to get into that.
Well, I know, but we've talked about in the past how Vampire Hunter D was Clint Eastwood's roles were definitely an inspiration, and you can see that in here. And we'll get into that.
What I was going to say, the thing I got the most from, aside from just going on about the amazing soundtrack, was the plot itself is very simple.
Extremely simple.
3 questionable characters, which, except for Van Cleef, but you've got two people with very questionable morals, but 3 men, all driven to get this gold buried in a cemetery, pillaging a grave.
Yes. Grave robbing.
Yeah. Well, apparently there's no corpse in it, but the metaphor is there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the world's ending around them. And it just ramps up from the beginning. And the further you go into the film, the more things are getting blown to pieces. There's a war going on. Just throughout the film, there are people without legs, people missing arms, people that are injured and scarred from the war.
You have literal burnt bridges.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of wondered if that was supposed to be a crossing the river.
Yeah, the
Styx.
crossing the river Styx, or there's no turning back from this point.
So, yeah, that was what I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
Was that these three men were driven to do this, despite the fact that the world's falling apart around them.
Well, and not only is the world falling apart around them, but they're in hellish landscapes.
And they're in the that build up to the climax where they have the gunfight in the town as cannonballs are falling,
mm-hmm.
and they're still fighting each other despite
the fact that just things are exploding everywhere.
So that's my big takeaway from it. You were talking about morals.
Well, I find it very interesting, the morals of each of these characters. I mean, the premise of the film, the good, the bad, the ugly. I was very interested in seeing how those titles for each character played out, because that immediately gives you a bar by which to measure each character. And especially with Eastwood's character, I thought that was the hardest bar to meet, because when you meet him,
he says so little.
No, it's not that he says so little. His actions, his actions are actually almost reprehensible when you first meet him.
Right.
I mean, what's he do? He well, okay, first you think, okay, he brings in this outlaw, and then it turns out that he's in cahoots with a Tuco. I can never say his name. And you think, okay, they have this, this thieves relationship. But when Tuco starts asking for more money, he ditches him in the desert. Tuco, thank you. I always say it wrong. When Tuco starts asking for more money, he ditches him in the desert, turning his back on his partner. So immediately he's done a reprehensible act. Now, maybe Tuco, thank you for showing me that. Now, maybe that was the point, where it's showing you him at his lowest point at the very beginning of the film, and then you build him up, because by the end, you do find that he is an honorable person.
I got the sense more that when Tuco started demanding more money, that was the point he realized he couldn't trust him.
Which is true, but it's the fact that he basically abandons him to his fate in the desert. And you could say that perhaps it was an act of mercy. It was I'll let God or fate decide. But regardless, he still betrays Tuco. And so you're seeing him immediately at a bad point for that character, where Angel Eyes, God, I love that character.
That he is the ultimate representation of the character alignment, lawful evil.
Yes, very much.
He is evil as fuck, but he's got a code and he doesn't break it.
No, he does not break it at all. Never at any point does he do anything to break that code. In fact, you know exactly where he stands and what his motivations are throughout the entire film. And I loved that about his portrayal. Tuco, on the other hand, it's like the more the film progressed, the more you saw that the trouble that he gets into is of his own making, and he never recognizes it. He never recognizes that he nearly dies because of his own actions, that the trouble that he causes others is his own making.
Well, the relationship, or the plot that unfolds with Tuco and Blondie is almost you could in a way look at this as a comedy of errors.
Mm-hmm. No, you could.
And fate keeps forcing these two together, no matter how much they hate each other. But yeah,
totally.
Also, it's interesting is Tuco's the only character that really gets any development of who he is and why he's that way.
Yeah, because
you know nothing about Angel Eyes or Blondie.
No, nothing. In fact, Blondie's even asked, do you have parents? Do you have a family? You never know. Yeah, you never find that out.
Tuco lies.
Yeah, Tuco lies.
Lies about his family. While he's at the monastery, his brother's the padre.
Yes. And that was an interesting scene.
Now, before we go any further, I looked this up for you since his name is Eli Wallach.
Oh.
Okay, we nailed it. He was born in Red Hook, Brooklyn.
So his Brooklyn accent kept coming through.
But it gets even better. He was Mr. Freeze on the 1960s Batman show.
Oh my God! I see it in the picture. Oh my God! Wow.
I'm not really sure what to make of that, honestly.
So Mr. Freeze played a Mexican in the desert. Okay. That's really funny.
It actually is very funny. So keep going.
About the different characters, or
yeah.
Just I like that how each character's morals play out through this, and the reason why I bring up morals again is because of the title of the film, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You know, that right there tells you that this is going to be a film of morals. And of course, you know, what better way to show that than by a story driven by greed?
Although, you know, I wasn't sure if the good in reference to Blondie was that he was a good person or if that meant he was the most skilled.
I'm going to say it's that he's ultimately a good person because he...
Or is he the neutral good?
Yeah, I'd say he's neutral good because, you know, regardless of how, you know, Tuco would betray him, he'd teach Tuco a lesson and then leave him. And then when they'd come back together again, when fate would drive them back together again, he would give Tuco another chance. And when Tuco would fuck up and betray him again, he'd give him another lesson and he'd leave. And it's that constant giving him another chance. And I think ultimately what showed that he's a good person is at the very end, well, near the very end, when they're at the burnt out church and he finds a young boy soldier who's dying.
Yeah.
And
in the Confederates. Yeah.
Yeah. And he puts his coat around the dying boy and gives him a puff off of his cigar. It's just this subtle, nice little act of kindness. And that's, of course, you know, the last thing that this boy experiences because he passes away from his wounds. But you can tell that he's genuinely caring for this boy that he's never seen before and wanting to do something for him. And that was the point where it really showed, no, he's good because he's a good person.
Another theme that I would say went through all of this is essentially the concept that the world was entirely populated by wolves and sheep.
Mm-hmm. What's the refrain? The world is filled with two types of people.
Over and over again. That's the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it funny was that Tuco was the one who said it the most. Is those who have friends and those who are Tuco.
Yes.
And then there says, there are those who have people and a family, and then there is Tuco, and he's lying.
Yes.
He does have family.
He does have family. You know, who cares for him, and yet he turns his back on them.
Also, there was a lot of narrative communicated strictly through the background and scenery, which is something I think every comics creator should pay very close attention to.
Very much so.
Because when you're telling stories visually, especially when you don't have unlimited dialogue space, and in a comic, you certainly don't have unlimited space for dialogue. In fact, I'd say it's the most limited of the mediums in a lot of ways. You can communicate a lot with just visuals and subliminals. And I thought it was very interesting that there was a scene in which Blondie and Angel Eyes and the posse is kind of coming through town, and they're a band of thieves. That's what they are. And what's in the background? Union soldiers executing a man with a sign around his neck that says, "I am a thief."
Yep. And they made the thief carry his own coffin.
Yeah. Much like what happens in the end.
Yeah.
So that's another good film for that, believe it or not, is The Road Warrior.
Oh, I believe that.
Is excellent for telling a lot of the story strictly through visuals and subliminals and very little dialogue.
I think also how subliminally and showing in the front how much of this world functions because everybody is drunk out of their gourd.
That bit about alcohol fueling armies is it. Yeah.
It's very true. It's like the only reason why these young men are getting out there to kill those young men is because they're drunk.
There were some who claim that during Vietnam, the United States Army was fueled by alcohol and speed.
Well, one of my friends in high school, her father was in Vietnam. He didn't like talking about it a lot, but he did say that the brass turned a blind eye to how much booze, pot, and other drugs his company were using.
Wow, it doesn't shock me.
And they said as long as they got the job done, they really weren't going to stop them.
Well, at that point, morale was probably very, very, very low.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, this is not really one of those films where you sit down and talk about the philosophical meanings. I mean, it's pretty upfront what it's about.
Yeah. No, it's more talking about, the visuals and how the story is told. And, well, as we talked about, how beautiful the music is and how that music is necessary to enjoy the film.
Yeah. I've heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that one of the driving forces behind this film was Sergio Leone's own disillusionment between the legend of the American West and the reality. Because apparently growing up, he was obsessed with Westerns and, the guy with the white hat riding into town. And then finally looking into the real West and realizing it was a bit more like Mad Max.
Or Deadwood.
Yeah. And that's a lot of what this film is kind of about, is more of his own journey of the romanticism and the fantasy versus the reality of it. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's weird because this film is dirty and gritty, and there are not pretty people in it. And yet
put it this way, it's not the Magnificent Seven.
No, it is not the Magnificent Seven, but yet it still has that spirit of people living free on the frontier, even in the midst of this horrible war.
And dear God, did life look hard.
Yeah, that was the other thing, is life definitely did look hard. I would say
it wasn't Bonanza.
It wasn't Bonanza, but I was comparing it mentally to the depictions of frontier life in Heaven's Gate.
I've seen nothing of that film.
Oh, that's not a film I will watch in its entirety.
Can you?
No. Well, you can.
Shouldn't it be chopped up and watched as a miniseries?
It should be chopped up and watched as a miniseries. It really should. But I think Cinema Snob did a fantastic job by doing a 1.5 to 2 hour long review. Yes, his review of the film is 1.5 to 2 hours long, but just showing how dirty, gritty frontier life was depicted on there. And I realized that Leone's Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is actually dirtier and grittier and harsher than what is shown in Heaven's Gate. So, yeah. But I think it's needed for that, because Good, the Bad, and the Ugly really is still a fantasy. It's not really, I wouldn't call it a fairy tale, but it is a fantasy of Western life, and that grittiness is part of that fantasy.
Well, no, I mean, it really was that dirty.
Well, no, it was
actually
really that
probably
dirty.
Worse.
It was, but I mean, for the storytelling, it needed to be that gritty.
Oh yeah,
especially when it comes to Eastwood's character. And like you said, the showing how Angel Eyes is spotless until the end when he finally has to get his hands dirty. And Eastwood,
yeah, because how many times is it he everything for Angel Eyes goes off flawlessly, or he has other people do his dirty work
every time?
Yeah,
until the very end.
And then he just tumbles right into that grave.
Yeah, and again, I can only hope that it had been planned on a longer battle, and for reasons Lee Van Cleef couldn't do it. So, because I know that that was a problem with his knee. There were a lot of films that he couldn't be in longer.
Okay, so you want to get into comments?
Sure, definitely. I mean, we've already been talking for half an hour. Unless there's anything else that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, there should have been more Lee Van Cleef.
No, very true. Very, very true.
More Lee Van Cleef.
More Lee Van Cleef. I will say one thing real quick again for comics creators. This film is definitely another one to watch for what is shown, not told in visuals. For instance, it's a simple thing, but Clint Eastwood fires off a cannon, and it's a great dramatic scene of him lighting it with his cigar. And then after you see the aftermath of that cannonball hitting its target, you see him standing there lighting the cannon again, and he just has the plunger in his hand, already showing you that he's loaded up another cannonball and put in more powder. You didn't need to see any of that. Just the simple fact that he has the plunger in his hand tells you what he did. So, and the film is filled with things like that. So it's another good one to watch for Show Don't Tell. Anyway, so yes, comments.
Here we go.
Oh, what were you looking for?
No.
Endless Nocturne. I don't like when people consider characterization as filler. You got to see more of the hero's life than them being heroic.
No. When I was talking about filler, I'm talking about like when the camera holds on someone's face for about 5 seconds too long.
Yeah.
Or the camera just keeps panning and panning and panning and panning and panning as the horse rides off into the distance. And it's like, okay, I've only seen a few Japanese directors get away with that.
Yeah, Kurosawa can do it.
Oshii can do it.
Oshii can do it, yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it was because this was the Italian cut, but there were parts where it was just, yes, we get it. He shut the door. Okay, I understand. The door is now shut.
Or, yeah, just scenes of people looking intensely at each other for just a little too long.
That was okay for the tension, but yeah, there was a lot of times where it was like, we get it. You set up a great shot. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on.
It's like, okay.
And again, I'm going to chalk that up to it being the Italian cut, because that was the exact same experience between the two cuts with Phenomena.
True, and I do know that the Italians prefer the more taking your time.
And I know that the
really
I'm
not going to say drag things out, but because that's really the wrong word. But just taking your time with a shot.
I mean, the only other thing I'd say about Phenomena is that the Italian cut seemed to have some really over the top gore in it that wasn't in the.
Like when she fell into the pool.
A few, yeah, that and a few that isn't in the American cut.
Oh, okay.
Where the monkeys killing people.
Oh, that, yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm going to say that I think that it was just a pacing issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see here.
But I will admit the scenes and the shots were composed amazingly, and with the music, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. Oh, then there's the story about the train. Do you remember that with Tuco?
Oh, yeah. Tell the story about the train.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
On the making of documentary, the actor playing Tuco was talking about how there's this scene where the train is going over his handcuffs. He's handcuffed to this to a corpse. And he really had to be next to the train tracks for the chains to go over. And Leone just told him, don't worry, it's totally safe. Just keep your head down. Well, what he didn't what Leone didn't tell him is the train that they were going to use had these steps that hung off the side of the train. And if the actor had lifted his head by even like 2 inches, the top of his head would have been chopped off by the steps on this train.
Well, there's one part where he slides down a little seconds before it hits his head.
Yeah.
It's like, Eli there almost lost his head.
Yeah, and that was really the actor. He said that he had no stuntman.
He didn't even know that he was that close to death.
No, he had no clue until he saw the cut.
Yeah.
He's like, oh crap. He goes, why didn't you tell me? It's like, because you wouldn't have done the scene. Fiona Wolf, I think there's a market for more Western setups. We need more general tidal waves to replace the overabundance of romance everything.
I'm going to say it. This is what forced quotas forcing women directors and scriptwriters have brought us, and women producers.
I'm going to go a step further and say focus groups say male audiences want action, adventure, want obstacles to overcome, want bad guys to fight. Women want romance. And so if you look, every time they're going to focus it on females, there's going to be a romance. Usually there's a love triangle.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of Amy Pascal's problems at Sony, shoving that into things where it didn't belong. Kathleen Kennedy wanted actually to turn Star Wars into Twilight.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? No, it's just...
it's okay to have action films and romance films, and they don't have to be all things to all people.
No, they don't. And girls like action and adventure. Girls like, fighting the bad guys. Girls like fucking Star Wars. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Owen, I always liked the spaghetti Western aesthetic more than the clean-cut John Wayne look. I agree, actually. John Wayne definitely has his place in in American history, but I always thought the clean Western looked too much like a
set,
like a set or a theme park,
or Spawn Ranch. No, that's where most of them were shot.
Oh, well, there you go.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay,
the
good.
Mansons.
Yeah. Most of those Westerns you're thinking of were shot at Spawn Ranch.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a great question, but I've got to get some liquid.
Okay. So, Brandon Baker, do you think Tuco's help of Blondie reciprocal or just greed due to Tuco being symbiotically representative of humanity's base desire? You think Tuco's help of Blondie reciprocal or just greed?
I think it was just greed.
The thing with Tuco is that for every act that he seemed to do of kindness, he'd do like 1 or 2 acts of greed or avarice. So again, every time Blondie would give him a chance, Tuco would turn right around and betray him. And as an example, yes, Tuco did tell Blondie where the graveyard was. Blondie could have taken off on his own and gone to the graveyard, but he didn't. He stayed with Tuco, and Tuco betrayed him and ditched him.
Well, it seemed through the whole thing, Blondie's attitude was, well, I knew you were going to try this.
Yeah, exactly.
You never learn, do you, with that look on his face half the film.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half of the film was, oh, shit, I'm stuck with you again.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Although when he thought Tuco had been beaten to death, he did feel bad about it.
Yeah, he did.
Which was interesting.
Mm-hmm. What was the first thing he asked Angel Eyes? Yeah. Is Tuco still alive? So. Owen, Tuco was Mr. Freeze? Wow, the more you go, I guess.
And the Riddler was the half-black, half-white guy on Star Trek.
He was. He was the half-black, half-white guy on Star Trek.
Okay. This is just funny.
Acid trip. Dude was from Brooklyn, did a better job playing a Mexican than I've done my whole life.
Thought you were a wizard.
You can be whatever you want to be.
Okay. Let's see.
Ginger, I feel it. We live in a world of sheep and wolves. The gray area being that we also have goats and sheepdogs. The goats break the rules but aren't smart enough to realize they aren't smarter than the sheep.
That sounds like something an orc once told me, but I'll talk about that another time.
Wolf 10, have you heard of the Chinese version of this movie? The Good, the Bad, and the Magnificent, I believe.
Are you shitting me? Really? Is this really a thing?
Yeah, if this is a real film, I'd like to check it out.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of feel bad. I mean, we made everyone wait, and I just don't think there's a whole lot more to say.
Well, it's a beautiful film, but yeah, it's not a complex plot.
Yeah, it's more just the journey of getting from there to here to there, and essentially these three guys walking their way through the apocalypse.
And watching them evolve and change or not.
And, just in some degree, just kind of ignoring it or dealing with it and still following their own greed over everything else.
Yeah.
Well, on the other hand, you could look at it as the three of them didn't play by the rules. They didn't allow themselves to get caught up in this battle of civilization.
True. Very true.
They weren't going to take orders from generals. They weren't going to run from battles. They were just going to pursue their happiness or their greed.
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at it, I suppose.
Janelle, Lee Van Cleef was an incredible actor and sorely underutilized. Very much so agreed. Again, I gotta wonder. I want to think that in one of the
it just felt like there was more to him because he was just such a good actor.
Okay.
But to quote the wonderful Lee Van Cleef, Pliska, I'm about to kick your ass out of the world.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, as you said,
the sad thing is in between shoots for that, he was on Master Ninja.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he was in a great film, Escape from New York, while shooting this shitty TV show that ended up on Mystery Science Theater.
Womp womp. On 2 episodes of Mystery Science Theater. Yes, it was so bad they did it twice.
Yeah.
Brandon, I would disagree about more Westerns being something that Hollywood would make. The last Westerns I saw in theaters, Appaloosa, 310 to Yuma, were me and a bunch of senior citizens.
I think we need to find more ways to market to niche audiences. That's the only way we're going to get good material again. Everybody wants just blockbusters now.
Again, one of the best Westerns that I've seen that was made within the last 10 years was Gallow Men. And that was a independent film with Wesley Snipes. And vampires. Acid trip. I'm a half Mexican wizard. I can summon fire from my staff and make some mean tacos.
Okay, do you want to come over here then if you can make good tacos?
Please?
Yeah, that would be nice.
We need good tacos.
Good tacos would be really, really nice about now.
I'm a good cook, but I can't make authentic tacos.
Nope, you're too German.
I am too German.
Too German, too Irish.
Yeah, can't do it. Cannot do it.
The fragment of you that is Mexican just did not take.
No.
It's just not one of your cooking skills.
They're passable.
Of course, if you're a Mexican wizard, does that mean that you can do like the Santeria or what is it, Saint Death magic?
Death tacos.
Death tacos, yeah.
Of course, I also think Mexican wizard, and I think of fire emanating from other things. So,
okay. Let's see.
Brandon to Harbler99. You can do westerns, but they are different. I read that Walter Hill, a director, said he will only do westerns and defined them as good people operating outside of the law.
That's an interesting concept.
I think it fits, though. I mean, look at Fistful of Dollars. I know Yojimbo, but Fistful of Dollars. That's definitely a good man operating outside of the law. But then again, he's also operating outside of the law with people who have no regard for the law. So that's why it
part
works.
of the legend of the American West, and I think that's one thing that people just don't really get these days, or a lot of younger people don't understand, is the reality of the West and the legend of the West are two different things, just like the reality of the samurai are not like the legend of the samurai, and both are equally important.
Mm-hmm.
And in both cases, both the legend and the reality is the West, no matter if it had a sheriff or not, was very lawless.
Mm-hmm.
Men made their own laws there, even if they were the sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
or had some sort of maybe they were a Pinkerton or.
No. Pinkertons were issued out to go track down a person, but then they'd come back. They didn't stick around to be the lawmen. So, but the West was lawless, and men made their own laws for the area that they were in.
So, let's see. So what do you think, guys? We're 45 minutes in.
Mm-hmm. Chris P. Does Blazing Saddles count as a Western?
Not really.
Stick out there, Josh.
It's an absurdist comedy that really hits every joke is a home run for the most part, and it is definitely a commentary of the time.
Yeah, I thought it was more of a not really a parody, but a commentary on the singing cowboy era of films.
No, that was the structure they used. Mm-hmm. And they used that structure, the concept, the trappings of that genre to actually talk about race relations of the era, and for Mel Brooks just to spoof a lot of stupidity in media. I mean, the Buster Berkeley musical scene. What was that a commentary on? It wasn't. It was just funny.
Yeah. It was there to be funny.
And the big slapstick punch-out scene at the very end that just kept getting more and more ridiculous because so many movies had ended with these,
with these big, gunfights. Everybody going out.
The hero goes to the movies to see how the movie ends.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We had some suggestions here. Okay, Elias.
Elias, I got a Chromebook a while back. Was gonna ask if I could join in on the next stream, if that's okay. What would be the Beat app to use?
Best app? Usually just a web browser is what I'd recommend.
Oh, so it's a Chromebook, Chrome.
All right. High Plains Drifter.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I don't really.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so what are we going to do next week? I mean, we talked about Dirty Harry. We are going to do Dirty Harry, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we should do Eastwood back-to-back, though, or if we should do something else. I mean, we've got a nice big pile of DVDs and Blu-rays now to watch and to cover. I mean, we've ordered some of the stuff people suggested. So that's what are you in the mood for? I know I had recommended possibly the live action space battleship Yamato film that was done a while back,
which we have. God, that's too many.
Too many. Well, just whatever mood you're in.
Yeah, I mean,
So do you guys want to keep doing classics and stuff you all know, or do you want us to start getting into stuff you've probably never heard of?
yeah, let us know.
Because I hate to say it, but every time we do some sort of oddball film nobody's heard of, we usually only get like 10 viewers.
I mean, we've got oddball films that we definitely want to cover. Well, again, I keep mentioning Gallow Men, and then there's Starry Eyes.
Oh, Starry Eyes, yeah, that's timely.
That was extremely timely. Let's see here.
Kamikaze Girls.
Kamikaze Girls, definitely.
Tokyo Gore Police.
There you go. That's always good. Speaking of the same actress, Audition. Audition.
Oh,
Thank
God,
you.
that is such a good film.
Let's see. Ricky Joya says, "Whatever you folks enjoy." It's like, well, we enjoy all of these. That's the tough part. Let's see. Owen wants us to do Argento's opera.
We need to start doing the Argentos. We were going to do the two Suspirias.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watch those back to back. We've got his Giallos. What was it? I can never remember that one. Yeah, we don't have opera. That's one of the few that we don't have. Have you guys done Predator yet, or the original Assault on Precinct 13?
I love the original Assault on Precinct 13. That's a Western, essentially.
That is a Western. That is definitely a Western.
All right. Well, I guess this is a short show. Sorry for making you all wait, but we didn't expect the film to be 3 hours.
We have, let's see, 2 for Gore Police and 1 for Starry Eyes. And Unqualified says we need some Mel Gibson, get some Mad Max.
Oh, we could do when he did Hamlet.
Oh my God. Oh, I think that's the one Hamlet my mom does not own. My mom collects William Shakespeare adaptations. She even has the.
How about William Shatner adaptations?
Is there?
I don't know. William Shatner doing William Shakespeare? How about that?
I thought Leonard Nimoy did Shakespeare.
Screw that. I want Captain Kirk doing Hamlet.
You want Kirk doing Hamlet? I could see Kirk doing Macbeth.
Yeah.
I think that would work. Young Kirk, young
Shatner.
Young Shatner doing Hamlet. Not Hamlet. Sorry, Macbeth. I think that would be really cool.
Well,
let's see. Yeah, we've got a lot here. It's like every time the antagonist kills someone, metal music plays in the background, and I love it. And that's from Owen. I'm sorry, Owen. What are you referencing? Artificer Joni, the Mel Gibson Hamlet was chaotic. Hamlet was definitely mad in that one. Wow. And JW says Shatner recorded To Be or Not to Be once. So did Gilligan.
All right. Well, it's been good talking to you guys. It's a short show for a change, which is a rarity.
Well, thank you for waiting for us while we finished up the film. Again, we didn't realize it was going to run long.
We didn't go horribly off topic for once. That's a rarity.
We could go horribly off topic if you're wanting to.
Oh, okay, sure. Give me a second. Say stuff.
Stuff and things and cool shit. And he's bringing up Twitter. You know it's gonna be good when he brings up Twitter. Oh, you're bringing up here. Ishii has a new profile on Twitter. For those of you who don't know, it is Ishii. It is Ishii Gray on Twitter. So definitely follow that. That is him as the full gray without the human suit.
Me out of the human suit on Twitter.
Yes. And he's putting it up right now. There you go.
I've already had a lot of fun harassing the crap out of the History Channel on Ancient Aliens, and they need to stop lying about me.
What specifically are they lying about you?
We're not trying to invade.
That you're not trying to invade.
Yeah,
no.
that the moon base that we have on the dark side of the moon has been there forever. Don't worry about it.
And it's not your guys' fault that things were being mutilated. That's Walter.
No, actually, I said that we were doing that to barbecue them.
Oh, okay.
No, we used them for barbecue.
Well, I know that was for cows, but I mean goats.
Goat suckers. Yeah, that's Walter. Yes.
Yeah. You guys are not into goat.
No.
You don't get the goat.
And I've also been harassing people who are obsessed with melanin.
Oh shit.
Asking them, I'm very curious about this magic melanin power they speak of. I've been harassing Nick Cannon quite a bit, actually, trying to get him to explain to me how he gets Harry Potter powers from melanin. He hasn't answered me yet, but I'll keep at it.
He's a Horcrux. No, Horcrux lets you travel. Or, no, that's a port key. Horcrux. I was right with the Horcrux.
I also told him that no, it wasn't that white people were less evolved or more savage. It was that they're spliced with alien DNA, and that's why they're so different than Africans. Just,
oh my God.
They said, no. It's not that they lack melanin. It's that because we played with their DNA and they've got some gray alien in them.
Harble says, admitted, Ishii, Sun Ra is alive and well and living with you guys.
I think he's too cool for us.
Let's see here. Owen, isn't John Wick a man with no name type of character?
I haven't seen any of those films.
Neither have I.
I'm very sorry.
I just know that it's another role that oh shoot, what's his name?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu, thank you. That Keanu wanted to play, and therefore he's good in it. Anime acid trip. Should we call it black magic?
You know, if the whole melanated special powers mutant X-Men faction of people online actually did start calling it black magic, I think that would make it that much funnier. I would think that actually, I think people would be more cool with it if it.
I'm actually kind of shocked.
I mean, they keep saying, "Oh, that's why we call each other soul brothers, because we've got the soul of the sun in us." Look, I guess
it brings new meaning to that song, "Black Magic Woman."
Yeah, I think black magic sounds so much cooler.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, maybe black magic is more like for wizards who are of melanated. God, that's so dumb. Where the hell did that even come from?
How thick are their stabs?
How thick are their? I knew it was going there. I knew it was going there. I mean, that's almost as retarded as when the Brits were claiming they were descended from angels.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
When were they doing that? Is that like World War II?
Oh, no, it was over by then. In the turn of the century, prior to evolution becoming a known theory, one of the claims of descendants, was that the Anglo and Aryans were descended from angels, and that the Irish and the darker peoples were descended. Yeah,
I keep forgetting that.
They included the Irish and the Scots in that were descended from people who'd fucked beasts. This is an actual theory that was promoted in Victorian England.
Victorian England was weird.
But it's kind of weird that now we have a kind of a revised version of that where it's we're sun people.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm too pale to be a sun person. The sun would irradiate me and I'd drop dead, which is weird that I decided to live in the desert. But I don't go outside during the day. I know.
You don't go outside during the day, and you get really cool nightscapes.
Yeah, I got to admit, the nights are really awesome here.
And you're just close enough to New Mexico that if you needed to, hitch a ride, back into space, it's just right there.
Okay, Mad Ginger, I thought Louis Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad were responsible for that weird Scientology stuff about Yaqub genetically engineering white people to make life miserable for everyone else. I didn't think that had to do with melanin powers.
But we was Kangs.
Yeah, I just... God, things are fucking weird right now. How did we get here? We were doing so well with race. We all liked each other. What the fuck went wrong? What the fuck went wrong? We had Dave Chappelle on national television, and then and now he's too controversial. What the hell went wrong?
I couldn't.
I thought his show was kind of a zenith of seeing, see, no one cares anymore. Remember when you...
Which I liked. I liked the fact that we were finally at a point where no one cares anymore, and everybody is open game for making fun of, because it's all in fun.
I mean, we had Dave Chappelle with the Black Klan member, and he was doing
I love that skit.
he was ripping on Native Americans, which was like, you know, at one point that was like just blasphemy. I guess it is again now.
Yeah. But
you remember he had the buffalo hating the Native Americans?
Oh yeah.
For committing genocide on them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, you know what? I think I've had enough of that.
that topic.
Oh yeah, you're half black, aren't you? Yeah, I guess you got half melanin powers. So that you're kind of like the X-Men, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't know, Wolverine, or
who do you want to be?
You just don't pick Cyclops.
No.
It never turns out well.
No, I guess the main character in your comic? Ricky, I wouldn't be surprised if those groups had made Henrietta Lacks into a goddess.
I don't even know who that is. I am so out of touch. I am so out of touch with pop culture. I'm old. I'm an old person now. I'm Gen X.
You kids with your pogs and dungarees.
Well, remember people ask me about actors and stuff, like, you know what? I think I kind of ran out of names after about 2010.
Yeah.
I kind of just stopped caring.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
I mean, I knew Scarlett Johansson, but I knew her back in the day when she was just starting her career, like with Ghost World.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and to think that she was Scarlett Johansson was the one to stand out when the really hot one got ignored.
Mm-hmm.
Thora Birch, god damn.
Well, I think Thora Birch was just too cool and nerdy.
I mean, she did a couple other cool films, and then she did some cool indie horror films in Britain, but that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, Scarlett Johansson was hot in Ghost World, but Thora Birch is where it was at.
I'd be curious to find out what happened, if like her story is similar to Fairuza Balk, where
she just kind of, I think it is,
yeah,
or she just kind of dropped out and said, okay, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I know Fairuza said she didn't really like the Hollywood scene.
Yeah.
Gen X is about to get a discount at Caro's. I can't wait. Yeah, we should all go together, Mad Ginger.
Totally. Endless Nocturne. When half the people think that they can make the other half pay for everything, democracy is in peril. That's how we get to this point.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. I'm probably going to do a show on this. Definitely not tonight, because I'd want to write notes down. But, I've been getting a lot of questions lately regarding the state of the nation and just how everyone's at each other's throats. And, there is a concerted effort to make everyone mad and terrified and hate each other. And, we'll be honest, the Republic is a threat. There's no doubt about it. The Republic is at threat, which is a shame, because this really is the greatest country in the world, and the Constitution is probably the best political document ever to be written. But the other thing that was coming to mind was that where these Antifa people come from, and where a lot of these young people start getting drawn up into cult-like behavior and breaking stuff in the street and whatnot. If Jordan Peterson's to be believed, it's that really young people these days have no purpose, no direction, no real substance in their life. And what they're doing is they're seeking meaning. And while certainly I've got an audience of 31 people listening right now, so my reach isn't that far, maybe what that purpose and need and a reason for living, maybe that purpose right now should be maintaining and preserving the Republic, preserving how damn good we've got it, making sure that we don't fall to the insane mobs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there are ways to do things, and I'm not talking about taking up arms. I'm talking about simple things. So maybe I should do a show on that. It's amazing what you can get done just by making fun of people. No, seriously, it's amazing when you've got busybodies who want to preach to the world and control everyone's lives. It's amazing how lampooning them and showing how absurd their behaviors are seems to really, really just weaken their argument.
Who specifically are you talking about?
Oh, the SJWs, politicians, the media, you name it, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You start lampooning how ridiculous they're behaving. It's amazing how much that weakens them, because now they're no longer bulletproof. They're not untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sacred.
True.
Which, I'll get into this another time. Anyway. Oh, here we go.
Ricky, Henrietta Lacks was an ordinary woman who lived a tough life, but her cells are tougher than most and dubbed immortal.
I need to look into this.
Chris P. Just looked up Thora Birch. She was in one recent season of The Walking Dead.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's good to hear.
Okay, should we bid everyone a farewell?
Let's see here.
I mean, we can stay longer if you like, although I think we should probably close out and do a different show.
Well, I know I need dinner.
Yeah.
So
well, it's up to you. Do you want to be social later, or are we kind of done for the night?
Real quick, these rowdy youngins need constitutional monarchy in their lives. Look at 8-10 of the best countries in the world to live in the world, constitutional monarchies.
Mm. Aren't they ruled by lizard people?
Endless Nocturne. Yep, the kids have been indoctrinated and now they have poor social skills due to internet addiction.
And bad parenting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much so bad parenting.
You know, before there was internet addiction, there was video games and watching too much TV.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I did hate my parents for refusing to allow me to watch nonstop television and play games nonstop, it did me good. I mean, I have a lot of complaints about the way I was raised, but that's one I will not ever scorn. There was 2 hours of TV and gaming, and that was it per night.
I know it made me incredibly happy that every day from like 3 to 6, the Chinese kids who lived across the street from us in San Diego were outside playing.
Yeah, their parents required them to go outside and play. It was like, no, you're not going to sit in the house.
Yeah. And yeah, they were kicked outside until dinner time, basically. And
of course, you didn't want to piss their mom off.
No, tiger mom to the max.
Yeah, you don't piss off an Asian mom. You just don't. All right. Well, I'm going to call it a night, guys. Thank you for joining us. And as always, buy my books. You got a rat?
I got a rat.